Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of our ongoing discussion about the university's preparedness, primarily during adverse weather, but with some standards and policies that apply to other situations as well. We'll touch on that in this coming conversation. And at this time, we're going to be speaking with Gary Stinnett, who oversees human resources at the university. And in this conversation, we're going to go through the conditions or the levels of adverse situations to which the university responds with policies that pertain to campus operations, when we come to work, when we don't come to work, when we come to class, when we don't come to class. So first of all, Gary, thank you for being with us.
I'm glad to be here.
All right, and let's talk a little bit about the conditions under which we operate when let's frame this for starters in the context of adverse weather. So,
well, that is normally the frame of reference most people have is adverse weather, and most people think about it in terms of snow and ice. So in essence, we have three conditions. The first condition, condition one, would be what we call reduced operations.
okay.
And that really is kind of more of a heads up and pay attention. Something's either happening or it's likely to happen that could have an impact to the campus. But by and large, most of the campus will be open. Most of the operations will be being performed. There may be some reduced manpower where students or faculty or staff may have to exercise judgments about coming to work or not, based on conditions probably where they live.
Under condition one, it might be the case that one cannot get to campus. So what are the things that person needs to consider?
Yeah, well, it depends on what your status is. Of course, if you're faculty and you can't make it to campus, the provost's office has put out guidance for faculty to follow when they have schedule interruptions and how to communicate to their students, principally probably through Canvas and Moodle. For students, they're always advised to contact their professors, and again, Canvas and Moodle is increasingly the vehicle by which that's probably done best. For employees, there's kind of two categories. You have non-mandatory employees and mandatory employees. And mandatory employees would be employees whose presence is intended to be required in an emergency situation. Mm-hmm. And when we think of snow and ice, you can imagine that many and most of the folks from facilities management are going to have to be present to restore the campus and clean the campus, housing residents' life, but other operations too, auxiliaries, food service, so on and so forth. They are required to make their best effort to get to campus regardless of the circumstances. Non-mandatory employees would be most of the rest of us whose presence isn't required to deal with a situation such as snow and ice or that sort of thing at the moment. And so for a non-mandatory employee, in condition one, they need to make the judgment about can they get to campus safely. If they can get to campus safely and the campus is going to be operating, they should try to do that. But if the conditions where they're at are such that they're not comfortable making that commute, then they've got options, but they're going to have to account for the time that's not worked. The time under condition one is not forgiven. It has to be accounted, and I think probably we'll get an opportunity to talk about various ways that employees can make up lost time.
Condition two, let's talk a little bit about what that means.
Well, condition two is suspended operations. And from a practical perspective, that means if you're not essential, the chancellor has made the decision to suspend operations and you are directed to stay away from campus.
And essential, mandatory, that's not a judgment on the person.
No.
That's...
At that point in time, the chancellor's made a decision that it's in the best interest of the campus to suspend operations. Classes will be canceled. Faculty should not report. Students should not report. Non-essential employees should not report. Mm-hmm. Mandatory employees are expected to report. And often, if we have enough advance notice, there are plans in place to shelter mandatory employees here so that we know they can be on campus.
All right. Well, let's talk next about if you are in that situation as an employee and the condition requires you to miss time. Very specifically, what do you do?
Right. Well, under condition 1 and 2, time not worked is required to be accounted for, and there are a variety of ways to do that. For many employees who are hourly and subject to the Fair Labor Standards Act, they accrue comp time, and so many employees have comp time already banked. And first and foremost, if they're in a situation like that, comp time's to be used first. Beyond that, subject to the willingness of a supervisor and for legitimate work that might be able to be done from, say, home, telecommuting's an option. Of course, annual leave, bonus leave, for those that have those who have bonus leave, that certainly can be applied. The more popular choice probably is the provision to make up time within 90 days. That's very generous, that allows a lot of options. Shouldn't be done in a week that drives the work to overtime,
Right.
but through planning by an employee and their supervisor over the course of 1 or 2 or 3 months, they almost always can figure out a way to get those hours made up. And then, of course, as a last option would be leave without pay.
Well, let's go ahead and come to the last stop on our journey of conditions, which is condition 3, and that, in the case of weather, is when it's really bad. Right?
Yeah, condition 3, first and foremost for employees, what this means is any time not worked is forgiven. It's important for everyone to understand that under General Administration guidance and policy, a chancellor has the authority to suspend operations and direct people away, and that's condition 2. He or she doesn't have the option to unilaterally jump to condition 3 and forgive time not worked. The important thing is to deal with the situation that's unfolding and for the chancellor to make a responsible decision about what's best and what's the most appropriate course of action to take for that situation. After the fact, and after conditions are fully assessed and impacts are fully known, we have to report to General Administration any application of any condition. And so in that process, if we think we dealt with really severe, catastrophic, potentially life-threatening types of situations, as an example, such as what Pembroke dealt with the flooding, we can petition to the President and ask for that time to be declared to be condition 3 after the fact. And if the President and her staff approve that recommendation, then we can retroactively deal with the issue of time not worked.
Most of our conversation has zeroed in on the application of the 3 conditions during adverse weather, but we should note that these apply to other times of adversity or other potential issues, some of which we've seen, some of which we haven't seen, but we want to be prepared for.
No, absolutely, and the policy again is titled Adverse Weather and Emergency Events.
Sure.
So it anticipates that there could be situations that aren't weather related. Could be fires, could be unrest, any number of situations where this policy would still provide us the authority to make decisions appropriate to the campus.
Well, Gary Stinnett from Human Resources, thank you for helping to clarify our policy and helping our understanding of what to do in adversity, not just weather, but other situations as well. And again, it's our hope that you're watching this not in the midst of a snowstorm, but as a way of being prepared for what lies ahead always here at UNC Charlotte. And again, do visit that Niner Ready site from Emergency Management. You'll find lots of this information in much greater detail. So thank you for watching, and we will continue to bring you information this way, and we look forward to being with you again. Thank you.